Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. I am your host, Art Chat Daddy Sims. And tonight I have a very special 2-hour show planned for your viewing and listening pleasure. 9 days ago, we were introduced to the name George Floyd. Many of us had no idea who George Floyd was, anything about his life, but we all witnessed one of the most horrific things ever. A young man begging and pleading, I can't breathe. I'm asking for his mama, asking for help, and he ends up dying. And so the death of George Floyd from Houston, Texas, a former ball player, a security guard, a hardworking family man. He has a beautiful 6-year-old daughter that he's left behind. And since the death of George Floyd last weekend, we have seen just all kind of just destruction, chaos, protests, people praying, people just wanting a difference in the world in which we live in. And so I thought it would only be fitting that tonight I would host a discussion with African-American men who are making a difference here in Chicago, but across the country. These men tonight are from all age range. These men will share stories of their adolescent years of being picked on by the police. We'll share solutions that we think can help bring a healing back to our community. There's so much we need to talk about. I really do appreciate you guys being here today. I want to send a very special shout out to 6-time Grammy Award-winning producer, songwriter, poet, Mr. Malik Youssef was my lunch date today on my virtual lunch program I do on Instagram Live. And Malik and I talked for a complete hour about just life and what people are facing right now, who he is, his political choices, who he has aligned himself with, how he ended up with the 6 Grammys. If you get a chance, please go over to Instagram. I am Chat Daddy 1 on Instagram, and please see that powerful interview with 6-time Grammy Award-winning poet, song producer, artist, you get it, the one and only Mr. Malik Youssef. So tonight on the show, I have with me right now 3 of the 4 gentlemen, and we're going to get this dialogue started. Our first guest tonight is Mr. Darnell Leatherwood. He is the founder of Black Boy Shine. I've had the chance to talk to Darnell several times. Just an amazing gentleman who's really, and he has such magnetic energy when it comes to being positive, when it comes to uplifting people, when it comes to talking about the disparities that we're faced in our community. Nobody can handle it better than Darnell Leatherwood. How are you, Darnell? Yes, let me add to the stream. All right, let's see. Here we go. All right, let's see. What is going on? Oh, there they are. There's everybody. All right. So here is Darnell Leatherwood. And then our next guest is Mr. Early Walker. Our city to just help those that are disadvantaged, but he is doing outreach that many people have never even thought about doing, and he really is a trendsetter. Let's welcome Mr. Early Walker as well, too. Our next guest is a gentleman who I've been knowing for quite a while. He is the CEO, brand manager to Two Guard Group. He's had a wonderful career in radio, the music business. He's an all-around great guy, and he's an innovator as well, too. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mr. Kevin Ross. Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having us.
Fantastic, Art. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad to have you gentlemen here because 9 days ago, we were nowhere we are now with the situation in which our country is in. First of all, let's keep in mind, we were in a global pandemic. We are in a global pandemic. We are still in a global pandemic. And 9 days ago, our entire world changed as we know it. I'm gonna start off with you a little bit, Kevin, on, oh, wait, before I do that, I see our other guest has arrived and he's available. Very good. Let me bring him in as well, too. The gentleman who is actually the brainchild behind my idea tonight and was so gracious to be our sponsor this evening is Mr. Dwayne Bryan. He was on the show with us a couple of weeks ago, proven business leader, a thought master. And what is he doing now? He's a
Bring me in. Bring me in. Bring me in.
We got you in. We got you in. Good evening, Dwayne. How are you?
Check. How you doing, brother?
Good to have you here tonight. Dwayne, when I came to you about this idea and told you I wanted to do this town hall meeting and bring in a group of guys that I know really want to sit down and talk about the issues that we as Black men face, you were on this 100%. Why were you behind me on this effort, Dwayne?
I'm behind you 100% because the Spirit of the Almighty God is with us. It's been ordained, preordained, predestined, foretold that at this time, if I just told you the meetings I was in today, everything right now is pointing to the liberation, to the freedom of the Black man and the Black woman in America from economic, education, everything. And the deal is now, it's just not us fighting for us, but it's a whole world coming together.
Yeah.
To say, you guys have treated those former enslaved people bad for too long, and the time is up for your white supremacy. The ditch has been dug, it's 10 feet under, and we get ready to put that racist white supremacist in it because we got lives to live and we deserve the same level of freedom and opportunity that everybody else does. So I'm excited because I know that this is the moment that the books have been written about. This is what Bob Marley sung about. How long will they kill our prophets while they stand aside and look? One day they just as a prophet, but whatever, you got to read the book, whatever. So I'm excited. I can't wait to tell you some of the things that happened today. And I know that what's going to happen here is going to reverberate all around the world. So freedom is coming, but we just got to keep doing a little bit of work to make it happen.
Very good. I agree with you 100%. And I think you're absolutely right about that. Darnell, I want to start off with you, if I could, just to talk to you about what has the last 9 days been like for you? Brother, you were out on Cottage Grove on Sunday and you know, surveying what you were there Monday, surveying what has happened in the Chatham community. You're a young Black man that's out here trying to make a difference in young Black men's life. What has the last 9 days been like for you, Darnell?
Well, I can say this. You know, first I want to say hi to big brother, you know, Dwayne Bryan.
What's up, brother?
So good to see you, man. It's so nice to meet the other brothers. But the last 9 days for me have been eye-opening. I think there were things that I perceived were going to happen that didn't happen, and that was a pleasant surprise. When I went out on Sunday to 87th and Cottage Grove, I went out right in the midst at the height of tension during the riots, and I just watched. I watched and I talked to individuals. You know, I made some new friends. You know, and I was out really just making sure that the young people, young brothers in particular, you know, who might be out there, you know, participating in those activities, that they will have some resource just in case something went down that shouldn't have went down. But I mean, you would not believe how kind and how generous, right, these individuals were to each other, and how generous they were to me. There was no fighting. There was not one argument. There was not one debate, no disagreements, nothing. People were coming up strategically, parking their cars, folks to get out and go get what they wanted, get back in their cars, you know, folks up there talking to each other. I mean, it was just an amazing moment. And what was so captivating was that they only did what they feel like they can get away with. The cops were there. CPD was there. They just stood in a gaggle, right, and just let folks do what they were doing. But when they finally did take action at 8 o'clock on Sunday on 87th and Cottage Grove, right, everybody's scared, right? So it wasn't that there was some fear of retaliation, because they did act, right? It was the idea that, okay, I'm going to let these people go in and interrupt the stuff for whatever strategic reason that might be put in place. But what I was so grateful for was not only were our children safe, you know what I'm saying, some of the young men who were out there, you know, adolescents, you know, young adults, but there was just this beauty that kind of rose up out of the ash that is that experience. And then on Monday, I went back out to the same place, 87th and Cottage Grove, and it was completely clean by the time I got there. I had to go all the way down Cottage to 75th Street before I could find any trash. And then it was only trash on that one block. And then all the way down to 63rd, it was completely clean, right? So not only did you have a riot where people were, you know, kind and treating each other well, Then you get to the, the next day, which is cleanup, and everybody got out early and organized in Black communities, right? Taking care of Black communities and got it all cleaned up. These communities are cleaner than they were before this happened. And then on yesterday, I was in a peaceful, protest with with some clergy out here, these faith leaders. I thought that was kind of it was lackluster in my opinion. I think that
was that at Bright Star down in Bronzeville?
Yeah, and I ain't mad at them. You know what I'm saying? I love the fact, that they were, they did the work of bringing people together in order to show the youth how to do a protest. But it's like, for me, it's like, you guys, the way that flyer was set up, they had this thing situated way before what happened on Sunday. They had it situated. We saw it coming, right? So that means that you had all these faith leaders in your contact list, right? You knew these babies was going to be out here. And some adults, right? But I'm talking about the kids because that's what I really care about, right? It's the next generation that I'm really concerned about, right? Adults are real hard-headed. We don't let the adults do what they do. You know what I'm saying? We'll let somebody else work on that. But I'm talking about our babies, right? And you're going to just let them, you don't even call the clergy together? And what was so crazy is that they only did what they were allowed to do. If all those clergy members that showed up to that protest had shown up and stood in front of each business, it wouldn't have happened. I'm telling you for a fact, it wouldn't happen. So my thing is, I don't mean to belabor the point, but I just want to say, it's been an amazing 9 days. I just love the beauty and the brilliance of Black people. I think even in the most trying times, we show up in ways that are not anticipated, and it has been a glorious revelation for me.
Wonderful. I love it. I really do. Let me bring my friend, Mr. Early Walker, in. Early has been instrumental in doing just so many things in the community. Early, what has the last 9 days been like for you, sir? What has, brother, you've seen a lot of things and you've got to help people in many tragedies, but I can only imagine what your eyes have seen. What was the last 9 days like?
Chaos. It's been very interesting. It's definitely been I would say, milestone in everyone's life. Definitely my life. Especially if you're a Black man in America today. My hearts and prayers definitely go out to George Floyd's family, but it's opened up the eyes of many. I've been around several different activists, several different clergy members, and pretty much everyone is echoing the same thing: change. And that's what I feel is important. And I feel like that's the message that needs to be displayed, other than any other message that is being displayed. Is we want change. And I feel like that's more important than anything right now is us getting justice, us getting change. And if I don't agree with the looting, I don't agree with some of the things that have been happening. But I do feel like if change comes from this, it was on purpose.
Okay, I agree with you. I'm gonna go over to our good friend, Mr. Kevin Ross. Kevin, I'm not trying to age either one of us, but Kevin, you and I, we are
too late for that.
Wait, Kevin, we are the babas of this conversation. And
I see that.
Right. And really, when I told you I wanted to do this, you immediately start sharing stories with me that I really do want you to share with this audience. But I also first want to find out, what has the last 9 days been like for you? And then let's go into how long the police have been effing with you. You get what I'm saying? Because that's how we even came up with this stuff.
Right. So let's start with the last 9 days. The first thing I would have to say is, first of all, prayers go out to, everyone who is associated with anyone who has been a subject of police violence and police brutality, the families, the friends, anyone who's associated with that, because that's a really difficult thing to deal with. The last 9 days, I would say, Art, I've gone through a number of different feelings just based on my experiences. I know I look really good for 56. And that was a joke, guys. Feel free to laugh anytime you want. So, I've had some very genuine emotions. I have been happy. I've cried. I called my mother to talk to my mom. My mother is a psychologist. I'm originally from California. My mother is a psychotherapist. So I called my mom to talk to her. And that was a very emotional conversation because I've never shared before with my mother uh, any of the stories of being stopped by the police or abused by the police or any of those things. I never shared them with her because I never wanted her to worry. I never wanted her to be concerned. My mother's 85 now. So all of that has been inside me, and it was able to come out this past weekend on a conference call with my mother and my sisters. And we had a beautiful conversation. Um, I would say also that there is a real sense of familiarity. I'm from Sacramento, California. So during the Rodney King riots, I was in California. I moved to Los Angeles 3 years after those riots. But there's a great sense of familiarity to that. But there is something different here. There are two things that are different. Number one, um, the level of participation. This isn't like that. This is something completely different. You have a global community that has an eye on now, and I'm believing a true understanding now of what's been happening for all of these years. And with the Rodney King situation, that was very black and white. If you were white, you were with the cops, and you just said he was wrong, and yeah, it's a shame that he got beat, but he was driving under the influence, et cetera, et cetera. And if you were black, you thought it was extremely unfair what happened. You thought it was brutal, and you were very opposed to it. Those were two sides. Here, I don't see that. Here, people are outraged. I was on a conference call today with a Jewish Urban League organization here. We're going to be working on a project together, and people are outraged. They are absolutely outraged. They're horrified. But most important is they want to learn now. They want to know. And I think that's what's important to understand here is that you've got to understand the history of this nation and the history of America and understand that this isn't new. The veil has just been pulled back. But since the colonization of America, there's so many things. The Constitution is wrapped in hypocrisy. Police forces were actually originally formed as slave catchers and security guards for rich white Southerners. And then there were different types of police forces in Philadelphia and in Boston and in New York. And depending on what the political situation was or the economic situation was in terms of businessmen, that's who the police actually catered to. So you have your, Central Park Karen. That wasn't a coincidence. Central Park Karen was an exact example of today's society and what they know they can expect from a almost privatized police force. So that's kind of what, in a nutshell, that's what's been going on.
Wow. Now, Kevin, I wanted to come to you to talk about the first time you ever had an encounter with the police. You and I were both,
right,
kind of reminiscing about when it was. And I'm going to talk to each one of the guys about, have you ever had an encounter with the police? Have you ever felt discriminated against? And when was that moment? But Kevin, share your first experience of what happened to you with the police and how old were you?
So for me, and one thing I want to say before I get into it, I've had conversations recently with friends of mine who are fellow African American men, and I would say that out of 10 to 12 conversations, only one never had an adverse encounter with the police. That's 11 out of 12 of us that have, and that
Wow.
I found shocking. That was shocking to me, but not surprising. So my first experience, I was 15 years old, and I grew up in a place called Davis, California, which is the home to the University of California, Davis, which is an agricultural college. So it's a very small town, very close knit. And it's also known as the bicycle capital of the world. So basically there, bicycles were considered like cars. They were registered the same as cars. You had bike shops and you had upkeep on bicycles. Well, I was coming from my friend's house, my friend Michael Easley. Michael um, was my friend. He was white, and Michael lived in a place called Stonegate, which would be the equivalent of like a Naperville here in Chicago. So I was riding my bike home. It's about 7:30, 8 at night. It was already dark, and I got a flat tire. So I got off my bike and I started walking. And I'm 15 years old. I got my Spider-Man backpack, and I'm walking, and all of a sudden behind me, there is this bright light and it's a police car pulling up, and he turns those old Adam 12 spotlights that used to be outside the car. He turns that on me, and I stop, and I'm wondering what's happening. I'm really, I'm a little shook. So he gets out of the car, it's white officer, and then he shines the flashlight in my face. So you got the combination of the light from the car, the headlights from the car, and then the spotlight from the car, and then you've got this flashlight. And he asked me, "Hey, what are you doing out here?" And I said, "Well, hey, I am walking home. I got a flat tire," and it was obvious the back tire was flat. And I said, I'm going home from my friend's house. Where does your friend live? Where's your friend from? Well, he lives in Stonegate. Stonegate is a very exclusive community. So when I told him that, obviously I guess he didn't feel great about that. So he starts shining the flashlight. He walks around the bike. He shines it on the license, my bike license, which was stamped on the back seat, that part that holds up the back seat. And he goes and he kind of calls it in, the same way you would call in a car license plate. And it was registered in my name. And he comes back and he walks around the bike again, and he just looks at me and he says, "Have a nice evening. Get out of here." And I said, "Well, do you think I could possibly get a ride home? Because I'm walking, it's late at night. And he just looked at me. And that look, that evening, is something that's always going to be with me, because he looked at me as though I was almost from another planet, but less than human, I think. And even as a 15-year-old kid, I really, that really kind of shook me a little bit. And I'm like, wow, because I, had a mother who I grew up with, and she says, "Hey, as long as you obey the law," and I grew up being taught yes, ma'am, and yes, sir, for everybody, black or white. That's something that I just do. It's manners. And I thought that was going to get you by. Well, this time that didn't get me by. And he just drove off, and he just left me, 15-year-old kid riding his bike, or walking, actually now, walking without any assistance, and he just left me. And that was it. And so I've been racially profiled. I've lived in Davis, California, Sacramento, California, Los Angeles, California, Chicago, Illinois. And ever since I was 15, I've been racially profiled, verbally abused, physically abused, unlawfully detained, or arrested in all of those places. And I'm now 56. So that's 40 years.
Brother, incredible, just incredible in many, many different ways. I'm looking at the expression on Darnell's face. Early, I kind of want to come to you, brother. Have you ever had any encounters or run-ins with the police? Have you ever felt as if you've been discriminated against? And then Darnell, I'm gonna come to you. We're gonna save Dwayne last, because his story will really blow your socks off. Early, what about you?
Yeah, I've actually had, unfortunately, several encounters, racial profiling. I actually used to be in law enforcement myself. And I was about 24, 25, living in a suburb of Chicago, and pretty much got pulled over because I had a nice car, nice wheels. And that, like I said, this particular time I actually was in law enforcement, and the officer pulled me over for no reason at all. I actually explained to him at that particular time that I was in law enforcement, showed him my credentials. He didn't care. Step out of the car, immediately. I asked why was I being pulled over. He couldn't give me a reason. So he asked me, "Hey, you have your credentials?" I said, "Yeah, in my bag, if I can grab them." "No, don't worry about it." I mean, it escalated so much to where, I literally asked him for a supervisor. I said, "Hey, can you have a supervisor come to the scene?" Disregarded that, told me no. And actually winded up putting me in cuffs. So I explained to him I was in law enforcement. He saw a weapon, immediately freaked out. So it was kind of like everything I was saying after that was out the window. And I'm like, well, if you give me a chance, I can show you my credentials. I can show you, I can explain to you what's going on. Didn't want to hear it. Wound up taking me down to the station. Keep in mind, no supervisor ever arrived on the scene. We got down to the station. We were, he literally threw me in the cell. So finally, when a sensible officer came, to me and asked me, say, hey, why do you have the gun? I said, well, I explained to him I was in law enforcement. I explained that to him on the scene. Did you show me credentials? I said, no, I told him they were in the bag. He totally disregarded it. And so the officer said, hey, can you go get his bag? When he got the bag, looked at my credentials, the officer opened up the cell, said, you're free to go. And this was after probably me being at the station for about 45 minutes to an hour. Which I actually wound up suing them for that. But and this is me being in law enforcement, so I'm thinking, okay, so I mean, pretty much, more of the story, no one, is without regards, in a situation like that. So.
Oh my God. These stories, we hear more and more of these stories each and every day of Black men just trying to make a difference, just do what they need to do. And here we are in a society where we're continuously picked on, beat up, again, early out trying to making a living in law enforcement. Again, Kevin Ross, a gentleman, radio, media, music business, all of that. And since the age of 15 years old, the police 15. Has always messed with him, and no matter what city he's been in. Dwayne, we're saving your story for last because I feel like that's the cherry on top, because that's what really propelled you to being a best-selling author. Darnell, I want to come to you, brother. You are our young brother. We need to find out from your demographic and age range, have the police ever bothered you?
Yes, once when I got to college. Can you hear me? I had to put in this earpiece.
Yes, I can. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, when I was growing up in East St. Louis, no problem with the police. But again, East St. Louis is pretty much 100% Black, right? When I got to the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, it was a very interesting moment. So I was coming back from a house party. I was like 18, 19 years old, just feeling my way through campus. And I was coming back from a house party at maybe 2:00 in the morning. And I was walking to my dorm, and these lights started blaring behind me. And I was like, I had never really dealt with the police. So I was like, I know they're not looking for me. I wasn't up to nothing wrong anyway. So they roll up on me, and the cop was like, hey, stop there, stop. And I'm like, for what? Like, what? I ain't did nothing wrong. What's going on? He was like, just stop. And I was like, man, look, I'm gonna stop. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know what's going on. And while he was talking to me, 2 other police cars pulled up. And I was like, okay, what's going on? Like, this is a lot of people for like little old me. You know what I'm saying?
One person. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on? Especially because I ain't did nothing wrong, right? Which could have escalated the situation because I could have been pretty upset. But what happened was that at first, I was a bit agitated. So I did respond to him like, I don't know what's going on, but you wasted my time here. Can I go? He's like, no, you got to stay here. You have to stay here. But at that time, I didn't know that you can ask, am I being detained or not? Right? I didn't know that stuff. So I stayed with the officer. And over time, what happened was that, over the next 30 minutes, we just got to talking. And I was talking to him, and he asked me some questions. He saw my last name. He asked me some questions about a potential Leatherwood who was a state sheriff or something state sheriff, something like that. And I was like, no. And I was just very cordial with him. And he was cordial with me. And we kind of found this respect, I guess. And long story short, what happened was the other cops stayed in their car. I talked to this one gentleman. And when they brought the individuals that made the report to the scene, they brought it because there was a fight on my campus that happened somewhere way far away from where I was at. And they said that the person that they were looking for wore a striped shirt, had a striped shirt and some shorts. And I had a striped shirt on. And I can hear the guy in the back of the police car who they were bringing to identify me, really. And he was like, I told you the guy was 6'2". I told you he was 6'2". Now, I'm 5'7". I am 5'7", right? 170 pounds. He said, I told you the guy was 6'2". So not only did these cops roll up on me, not only did he jump out in a very aggressive manner, which I kind of responded. I'm from East St. Louis. I just call it like what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, man, you don't come to me with disrespect. But I was just grateful that over the amount of time that we had together, that we was able to come, show some mutual respect to each other. Even though I felt highly disrespected, it brought even more cars, like I was some real threat. And then eventually, he was 6'2". Isn't that something? So,
oh my God,
that's really my only, instance. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And there are so many stories, so many brothers that would have to share stories. The one or two times that maybe the police did bother or stop me, I can't say, it was really moving violations, things like that. I'll never forget. 4 Christmases ago, it was on Christmas Eve. A good friend of mine had come over. One of my neighbors always has a Christmas Eve party. And when the party was over, I went to take this friend home. And in taking this friend home, he wanted to stop to get a pack of cigarettes. Again, we talking about 2 o'clock in the morning, and this is now Christmas Day. I'm sitting there with the flashes on. He runs, into the gas station to get and a white female cop rolls up on me, puts the light on. What are you doing over here? And here's the one thing I always tell people. I take a very conservative driver's license picture because sometimes you might see me and I might look like I might snatch your goddamn purse. I might look like I might snatch your purse. But I always keep a very conservative driver's license picture to let you know I'm not your average run of the mill. Just because I'm in this neighborhood, I'm bringing a man home. And the one thing that I've always valued is a business card. I keep a business card on me no matter what, and especially when I'm working for a brand. And as soon as you start popping off, what you doing over here? You ain't got no business. You parked illegal. Ma'am, it's 2 a.m. on Christmas morning, and I'm dropping somebody off from a holiday party, and she eventually piped down, but was very disrespectful, very all a matter of fact. Put your hands up where I can see them, all of that. And so I'll never forget that. And that had to have been at least 4 or 5 years ago when that happened. But again, we are always being profiled because of the way we look. Again, Darnell, a striped shirt. A striped shirt could have cost you to lose your damn life. It really could have. Dwayne, I want to come to you, brother, because really you did become a famous best-selling author strictly on a traffic stop. Let's talk about that story. Share it with the audience.
Sure. Well, let me say this. I've had over a dozen police encounters from elementary school, middle school, high school, college, after college, etc. But I've never been arrested, no criminal history, never been in handcuffs or anything, because for whatever reason, I was always able to, one, the spirit of God, but two, engage. But to answer the question you just asked, I was driving from Chicago to Battle Creek, Michigan, and I was doing a speaking engagement, and this officer right here, Officer Aaron Weller, pulled me over, because what happened is when you cross over 90, the speed limit dropped from like a 70 to like a 60. So I was going like 80. And so what they told me is that I was doing 20 miles per hour over the speed limit. And in Indiana, going 20 miles per hour over the speed limit means I'm doing excessive driving. So he could either take me to jail or give me a $500 ticket. He also said you crossed 3 lanes of highway without signaling, which is the same thing the officer told Sandra Bland in Texas. So when he pulled me over, I'm like, this white dude trying to kill me. He gonna take me to jail, and then they're gonna say I committed suicide. I'm like, oh heck no. So I'm sitting here thinking, should I like just haul tail? Should I back my car up into his car, disable his engine? And I mean, all of this stuff is going through my mind. I'm an educated, no criminal history. The world is my heart rate spiking like that. And so the Holy Spirit is like, listen, you're a man. He's a man. I did not give you the spirit of fear. You talk to him like you're a man. I'm like, yes, God. And so I just had a conversation with him. And just like Darnell, as I'm talking to him, he said, okay, where's your driver's license? I wasn't trying to debate him and tell him I know my constitutional rights and blah, blah, blah. Here's my license. So he brought the license back and gave me a $150 ticket. I said, officer, thank you so very much. Can I take your picture? He said, why would you take my picture? Because literally a few weeks before that engagement, before that encounter, I was talking to a group of 4th, 5th, and 6th graders at Drake Elementary School on the south side of Chicago. And I asked the students, if you're on the playground playing, minding your own business and doing nothing wrong, if a police car drove over, what would you do? They said, run. I said, why? They said, because I don't want to get shot. I don't want to get killed. I don't want the police to harass me. And then two of the bigger boys said, well, I wouldn't run, but if they mess with me, I'm gonna mess with them. So I was like, oh my God, our baby's first inclination is gonna get them hurt or maybe even killed. So going back to the situation, he gave me the $150 ticket, and I said, can I take a picture? He said, no, that's not necessary. So what I did is I took a picture of his car and I posted what happened, and the post went viral. Then I went to Crystal Marshall and said, Crystal, we need to, because my company, we've mentored over 30,000 students. So my company, I said, let's look at our first impression curriculum and put a piece in there about how to interact with law enforcement. She said, that's not a handout. We need to write a book. I said, girl, nobody care about no black man getting pulled over. So what I did is, she asked me, how many times have you been pulled over? I said, at least over a dozen. So what I did is I wrote the book, The Stop Improving Police and Community Relations, along with the workbook. And now we're in various schools across the country. Secretary of State of Illinois purchased it for some of the libraries in Illinois. But what I wanted to do was, I wanted to take the fear of the police encounter out of our kids. And I wanted to empower them to understand that the police officer is not the only one with power at any police stop. When I ask children who has power, they always say the police, because if you don't know that you have power, then you will be powerless. They have power over their word choices, their voice, their tone, their actions, etc. Now, most of the time, you will get at least a decent police officer. Some of the time, you may get that garbage that we just saw in Minneapolis, Derek, and his boys. So when they come, so what I try to teach the young people is how to be empowered, how to make good decisions. But I don't only talk to the young people, I also talk to law enforcement. When I was in Virginia talking to a bunch of police, I shared this, the Stop Challenge poster. And some of the people in the audience were FBI. They say, yo, this is great. Right here, you can see this key is for police as well as community. It's not just for the community. So police have a responsibility in the stop. They have more of a responsibility because they've been trained, they've been taught, and if they haven't, shame on them, they've been to the academy, etc. So that's what I did. I decided not to keep complaining about police brutality, but to empower myself, empower these young people, empower families, empower schools, to teach young people as well as law enforcement the right thing to do, because we can no longer, white supremacy is the worst disease. It's worse than the coronavirus. White supremacy have some of the white boys on these police forces thinking that I am God, and that is absolutely incorrect. And what we have to do is we're going to face that, we're going to defeat that, and we're going to bury that devil, because that's exactly what it is, so that it never show its head again.
I couldn't agree with you more. Gentlemen, I am really honored to have you all here tonight. I just want to remind our audience, you're tuned in to the Wednesday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show, coming to you live via Facebook or YouTube, the Real Chat Daddy Show. Tonight, I'm sitting down with four amazing young men of all walks of life to talk about what is it like to be a Black man in America. We have faced so many issues and problems that we have been silent on for years. Tonight, each one of these men have agreed to be as open and honest as possible about their situation. I am asking you, our viewing audience, to please share this. Please start a watch party. Please tell people to go to Facebook, go to YouTube, go to the Real Chat Daddy Show page and get in on this conversation tonight. I appreciate all of you all who have made comments so far. I appreciate you all for your love and support, but it's all about people getting a better understanding of Black men. 9 days ago, we watched one of our brothers suffer and be murdered by a Minneapolis police officer and his cohorts. And now, today he's been charged with second-degree murder. His cohorts have been arrested, but we also have seen mass destruction across the United States as well as global mass destruction as a result of Black lives really do matter. And so now I want to go back to my friends and talk to them. Gentlemen, I want to talk to you all about, what does it mean to be a Black man? What does it mean? I mean, Darnell, I know you're a dad. Early, I know you're a dad. I see your son all the time on social media. Kevin and Dwayne, we out there. You know what I'm saying? But to these gentlemen, and I'm gonna start with the dads first, and then I'm gonna come back to the rest of the guys. If I could, Darnell, I want to start with you. What does it mean to be a Black man, period?
Yeah, I mean, I really do want to say, you know, all praise to the Most High. You know what I'm saying? It's really the closest thing to God. You know what I'm saying? We are the original people. We were created in God's image. And that says something. And I think that people oftentimes, when they stand up against something powerful, especially if they have insecurities, right? They attempt to pull power from that which is powerful. So to be a black man is to be godly, to be righteous, right? To be honorable. I tell my son all the time, you know, you're honorable. He repeats it after me, no, you're honorable, you're black, you're brilliant, you're beautiful, right? It's to be extraordinary, it's to be, you know, saying to provide and to support in ways that continue to create opportunity and resource for others. So I'm just really excited about the notion that even if you think about Adam in the garden, right, he was given this task to watch over all these things, to name all these things. The authority that comes along with that is nothing to sneeze at. And I think that there are individuals who are hell bent on submitting and trying to subdue that thing which we were born and destined for, just innate to who we are in the melanin in our skin. So to be a black man, in my opinion, is to be as close to God as possible, to be righteous, to be honorable, to be brilliant, and to be absolutely beautiful. So.
I love it. I do. Early, I want to come to you, my friend. Not only are you a proven business leader, a giver of the people, you're a new dad, and you are, of course, my friend, truly a black man. What does it mean to be a black man, Early?
Well, I definitely want to echo my brother. You know, I truly believe, you know, being a black man, you know, we are kings. You know, we are built to face adversities like no other. You know, one of the good things about being a black man, I you know, give kudos to my father as well as my grandfather, you know, for raising me the way they raised me. You know, they raised me to pretty much not expect anything, you know, and to always fight for everything. And you know, and so being so, you know, that's one of the reasons why I'm so aggressive, why I work so hard, why I push so hard. And unfortunately, you know, being a black man, you know, we are forced to be in that particular perimeter, you know, and I didn't understand it coming up, you know, with my dad, or I would look at some of my other friends and I would see how they would get certain things, you know, I mean, I didn't get a car for my 16th birthday. I had to work, and I got a car when I worked and I raised my money, you know, was able to afford to buy a car, you know, and I didn't understand it coming up, but, you know, pretty much it was teaching me or gearing me up for the things to come in the real world. So, you know, if I would use one word, I would definitely say king. I would definitely say, you know, we are hard workers, we're strivers, you know, we go against the grain, you know, and we try to succeed against all odds.
Absolutely. I love that. I really do. You're right about that. I don't even know who to go to. You know what? I think I'm going to go to Dwayne, and then I'm going to let Kevin clean that on up and take it on home. Dwayne, you always preach black man. And that's what I appreciate about you. But what makes you realize you are truly a black man?
What makes me the black man is when God said, let's make man in our image and our likeness. He dug into that black dirt and he pulled my ancestors who look, I'm light skinned compared to my ancestors. So what makes me a black man is the first man, the original man, the man who had God's first thoughts, his mind, his heart, his legs, his arms, and everything. That's what I am. And a part of my DNA genetic coding is the Holy Spirit of Almighty God himself. So that's why when things happen and people get crazy and crying and stuff, I'm like, they're giving up their power because they don't know who they are. So what it means to me to be a black man is to be knowing, not thinking, but knowing that I'm made in the image of likeness of God, that I have power, that I have dominion, and that no matter what comes against me, God within me is more than enough to be able to conquer whatever that situation is. It also means I have the ability to be loving. I have the ability to be kind. I have the ability to be a thinker. I have the ability to look at our generation to come and help bring them to where they need to be. Some of those who are fatherless, to be able to be fatherful for them. So it means a lot to be a black man. I love. I suntan. Let me say, I went to the doctor and he said, why are your vitamin D levels so high? Usually black people have low vitamin D, but yours is like above the charts. I said, that's because I sunbathe. He said, what? I said, I love This blackness, it's just beautiful. I mean, I just sometimes, you know what I'm saying, man? So to me, being black is the greatest gift that God has ever given me, baby. You can believe that.
I believe you. I do. Dwayne, I suntan. Look, I suntan as well too. We had that debate not too long ago on my show about the fact that do black folks suntan. I'm like, hell yeah, we love the suntan, you know, and you can tell the difference in us. You know what I'm saying? I don't care how dark you are, you can tell the difference, you know. Yeah. I love a good Caribbean tan or a good Gulf of Mexico tan. So I'm just, you know, in Brazil, but damn, we can't go nowhere now with all this corona. Oh, I'm depressed now. But gentlemen, I do want to continue to move on. Kevin, I want to talk to you, brother. I know you are a proud black man. You try to promote people in the music and the media industry to be the best they can be. And you have presented to us some of the best black talent ever. But what is it like for you just to be a black man?
Well, this is kind of hard following Dwayne. It's almost like putting Jermaine Jackson on after Prince. But I would say for me, a black man represents strength. A black man represents versatility, knowledge, perseverance. And these are all things that I had to grow into because I grew up in upper middle class, mostly white neighborhoods. So I always grew up knowing that I was different and being shown that I was different. So I had to fight through that. And I thank God for my father passed when I was 12, but I thank God for a mother who instilled in me a great balance of strength, intelligence, and sensitivity. She always wanted me to read. She always wanted me to be knowledgeable. You know, I was reading everything from Greek mythology to Shakespeare to A Message to the Black Man, you know, all kinds of things. And that helped shape who I am today. And then in terms of my career, I've been blessed to work for people like Andre Harrell or Barry Gordy. You know, I called Russell Simmons or Don Cornelius have been mentors of mine. So I had an opportunity to have examples of strong black men who showed that you can be successful and that you can represent yourself and always stand up for yourself. And so for me, I think that's what it's meant. You know, even working with Ice Cube, you know, having great conversations with Ice Cube. Those types of things have helped kind of formulate who I am as an African American man. And someday I do hope to be a father and a husband. But right now, at this point, I am an example and a leader. And I take that mantle on wholeheartedly and enthusiastically. And that's one thing I think at the end of the day, we need more leaders. We need people who aren't afraid. Someone asked me, a good friend of mine today asked me earlier, aren't you afraid? He said, I'm just asking you this as a friend. Aren't you afraid for your brand if you're speaking out at this point? And I said to him, yeah, I am. I have put 40 years into what I've done. It started as a hobby and it has now become a career. I love what I do. I think I've been changed lives, etc. I'm a businessman, and let me stop you there. I'm a business and I'm a man. The first part of that can go away at any time. My business could fall apart. I could be out of the music or the entertainment side of this. I could have a bad year, and that would be the end of it. But the man part will never go away. And so the man part is the part that I have to be the most concerned about. And I need to be able to look in the mirror and I need to be able to love and respect the man part of businessman. I need to be able to appreciate that person and respect that person for standing up for who he is. So am I worried about my brand? Yeah, I'm worried that if I ever have to look in the mirror and I can't be proud of what I see, then I have no business being here. So my worry is that I fail in that respect. And that's the only worry that I have.
I love it. I do. I really, really do. Kevin, I agree with you. Somebody, I didn't realize yesterday was Blackout Tuesday and that we weren't supposed to post
Right,
anything on social media.
right,
And see, when
right,
everything happened over the weekend, people start reaching out to me for interviews. And I was like, well,
right,
guess what? Do them all on Tuesday. I had a couple of people hit me up like, look, bro, we blacking out today. We blacking out today. I said, let me
right,
explain something to you. Currently, I do not work under anybody else's umbrella or brand. I'm an independent contractor. I'm
right, right.
I'm an essential service. You understand me? I'm an essential service to inform and educate people on the world in which we live in. I may not be
Absolutely.
world news tonight. I may not be a major network, but I guarantee you I'm an influencer and I'm not going to black out. I got to continue to keep informing people on what is going on. How can we help each other and how can we improve our situation? So unfortunately, I
Right.
can't black out. Here's the deal. Why are we just blacking out for one damn day? If we going to black out, let's black out. And as black as we are, we could black out forever.
Right. Well, one of the things that I wanted to kind of talk about that's interesting, when the blackout, when I first found out about it, Warner Brothers, I actually follow record labels on Instagram. So Warner Brothers post came across and said, explain what they were going to be doing on Tuesday. So then I Googled it and I saw what was going to happen. And I said, well, I'm an entertainment and a marketing company. I want to participate in that. But what ended up happening is it was a bit confusing because people would see the blackout and people who weren't in the music or entertainment industry, it's great that they wanted to participate, but they were mixing it up with the BLM movement, Black Lives Matter. Well, you're taking away from the hashtag of Blackout Tuesday, the show must be paused. That was supposed to be a separate statement than BLM. BLM has its own agenda and its own platform. God bless that platform. But there was some confusion there. So, but what ended up happening basically is a lot of people blacked out. But there's one point I wanted to make. I don't want to bore everybody here because I'm so ecstatic to even be on with all these great brothers. I don't even know what to do. The one that got me the most was a post by the NFL. So now the NFL posts that they are sorry for the death of Mr. Floyd, and they support equality and all of this. I'm not going to curse. I said I wasn't going to curse. I'm not going to curse. Long story short, all of this BS in this Instagram post, and I was livid. I was outdone. And I looked at this and I said, how hypocritical is this? The same organization, the same brand that vilified Colin Kaepernick, basically took his career from him and kept him from getting another job, has the gall to post this. Right. So, of course, I reposted it with my own words, which were less than kind. And I just found it to be very, very much an example of the environment of this country. I think what's happened in America is that America, since its birth and its inception, has had a very inflated view of itself. And because no one has been able to challenge that, because we've allowed for the economic and political factions to take control of this nation, no one has taken the time to really look and see that America has cloaked itself and layered itself so heavily in hypocrisy, where it routinely, as has been displayed with police brutality, ignores the Constitution, ignores all of the things that it wrote itself in the Constitution of the United States and the Declaration of Independence, and all of these things have been covered over by America to the point where it calls itself the mightiest nation on earth, and all of these other things. But the truth of the matter is, America is very weak and fragile at the core. And now with the combination, and this is how wonderful God is. God has a way, and it takes time. Sometimes it takes time. But if you look at Egypt and you look at Exodus, and you see the similarities in what's happening now, you can see that even the mightiest nation that mistreats its people will pay the ultimate price at some point. There's a tipping point that we are going to come to, and America has come to that point. When you have an autopsy that the first autopsy said that he died from complications from underlying conditions, but the second one didn't, that's God. God says you can't hide. You cannot hide from the judgment that's coming. You cannot hide. I am here to free the Asiatic man and the Asiatic woman. And that's where I think we are headed now. And I'm seeing something completely different. When you see teenagers in France taking a knee in front of the Louvre, that's incredible. That's incredible. And I think that we're headed towards something that we haven't seen, and something that all of us on this call have probably been waiting in frustration for most of our lives. And I'm glad to see it.
I could not agree with you more. Something that I want to say, Kevin, you're absolutely right. I've been saying all along, ever since I started this show on social digital media platforms, my mantra, and I know I sound like a broken record, but those that were last will now be first. You
Absolutely.
will see a new generation of people. You will see the gifted now more than you've ever been able to see it before. We now have got to live in a new reality that the life we once knew is no longer that life anymore. We've got to adjust. There's a shift that is going on now that you've got to stand up and be a part of it. And that's why I refuse to be silent. I wanted to continue to let my voice be heard. Who knew that a digital platform would really be my calling? Now, when I get some money behind it, it'll even be better. But right now I'm doing God's work. I'm doing what God has told me to do. Be a messenger, be strong about it, bring the right people to the forefront so that the stories can be heard. And that's why I appreciate you guys so much. Now, my next question, as you guys all know, rapper Nas said, "If I rule the world." Gentlemen, my question to you, that if you rule the world, what would be the one thing that you would want to tell the world how they can better change relationships with us as Black men? I'm curious to know how we'd be able to do that. I want to start with you, Dwayne. Let's talk about what would be the one thing you want to tell the world on how to be better with us as Black people.
Wow. I would say, first of all, understand the timeline of history. All life began in Africa. So if you're Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Jewish, Gentile, whatever you are, all life began in Africa. So your great-great-great-great-great-grandmama and granddaddy were Black. So first of all, you must have a level of understanding of who you are through who we were. And therefore, in the context of time, that will allow you to understand that there's a group of people that the world, through white supremacy, has been disrespecting, but that same group of people were first in every single thing. The other thing individually is that Black men are caring, we're kind, we're feeling, but we're also a product of our environment. We're also a product of the conditioning that we've been conditioned for 400 plus years. So that's a heavy question. I was hoping I would go last. So this time, normally I'm ready. But that one
Stay ready, Black man. I'll come back to you if you want me to. Stay ready. Stay ready. Darnell, I'm coming to you next, brother. As Nas said, if you rule the world, what would be one thing you want the world to know most about treating the Black man, the Black family, just to correct all of this mess that has happened? What would you want the world to know?
I would love to give this more thought, but in this very moment, the first thing that comes to mind is, if you want what's best for the world, if you want what's best for our communities, if you want what's best for all of us, right, you will treat the Black man in a way that reflects the dignity that is his humanity. And I think that that's what's missing. It was something that was said earlier. They say, my brother said that, America is really fragile. But I don't know if I believe that. I think that because America was built on the back of some of the strongest people on the planet, right? I think that, yes, we may break down the house, but the foundation itself, right, it was established on something so powerful. So if we can get to the place to where we think critically about our own perspectives and perceptions of blackness and black men in particular, our own internalized, sometimes subconscious ideas about what black men are and who they are and what they do and how they present and what that means for my own engagement with those individuals. If we can ask ourselves, what can I do in order to best support black men in a way that continues to improve outcomes for all of us, right? Which is just acknowledge their humanity. First of all, I'm not asking your permission because I acknowledge my humanity every day. But if you want to do the work, acknowledge the dignity and the humanity of the black man, and what you actually end up doing is probably putting the world in a much better position to reap all the benefit that is us working collectively as a body. So yeah.
I love it. I really do. I really do. Brother Early, I'm gonna come to you because I want to know what you think. You are out here now really ministering to our people, saving our people. But what is the one thing, I'm gonna put you on that world platform, that I want you, what is it that you want to tell the world?
Man, not to go to church, but I mean, 1 John 4:7 says God is love, and we come from God. So if I were to say or give a message to the world, I would say love us. We as black men have been ridiculed, we have been prosecuted, persecuted all our lives, since the beginning of time. And one thing I would say is love. We've never seen PSTD as it is, as it relates to our young men, like never before. I mean, our young black men have been through so much, and so if I were to say, I would say, one word, love. Treat others, treat us as you would want to be treated. That's really what it boils down to. Love. I mean, we come from God. God is love. So if I were to give one word, it would be love.
I agree. I couldn't agree with you more. It would be love, and understand that we are loving. We want to be loved. I look at the number of times that I've given my gift and talent and was thinking that, people would understand this is how the gift and talent works. Let's work with the gift and talent. But then I became a troublesome black man to people without them ever saying, is there something we could do, or how could we help you? It's just, it seems as if we are good enough to be used, but we're never good enough to be nurtured. And that really worries me in many different ways. We're good enough to be used, but we're never good enough to be nurtured. And I think more of our black brothers really do need to be nurtured. And that's from a lot of different perspectives in our life. You know what I'm saying? I want to come to you, Kevin. If I gave you that microphone and told you to rule that world and tell that world what they need to know, what would you do?
Well, I think for me, it starts with a conversation. I've always been a big networking person ever since I started my professional career. And I found networking to be wonderful for a number of reasons. But one of the greatest things is that you find out what you have in common with people. If you just have a conversation with people, you're not going off of an image. You're not going off of any preconceptions. If you just talk to somebody, you find out what that person next to you or in front of you has to offer and what you may have to offer. So that's why I think it's important for us to get to know each other. And this isn't just if you gave me that microphone and telling it to the world. I think situations like we're in right now with 5 black men all together sharing our experiences and learning about each other and understanding each other and becoming more team oriented. I played basketball and football early in the high school and some college. And there's nothing stronger than a team and people who understand each other and have one goal. And I think I would say, let's just have conversations with each other, man. I've had conversations. I didn't understand what it was to be Jewish. I had no idea. I had no idea what it was for someone to, who's Asian. All I knew were the stereotypes that this country teaches you. But when you have conversations with people, you get to know them as people and not as products or labels or stereotypes. And that's what I would say. Let's have conversations with each other, man. And then if you walk away from that and say, "Oh, Kevin's an a-hole," and that's fine. I'm cool with that. But at least we gave it the opportunity.
I agree. I think that's really good. Gentlemen, you're doing an outstanding job. I'm getting so much feedback. People are joining us on all the pages. Just for those of you all who are just joining us, this is a very special Wednesday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. I'm your host, Chat Daddy, and we're having a town hall meeting tonight. What is it like to be a Black man in America? 9 days ago, our lives totally changed. We've seen so much chaos, destruction. We've seen protesting. George Floyd was murdered by a Minneapolis police officer and his cohorts. Today, the charges have been upgraded on the number of the first cop to second-degree murder. His other cohorts were charged with the crimes, or they've been arrested as well too. I'm here with 4 of my friends tonight. I've not even let you guys know the amazing things that these guys do. At the end of this interview, they're going to actually tell you who they are, what they do, and their credentials. Right now, I'm just talking to my buddies. This is just like me being on the phone, having a drink with these guys. These are the men I hang out with. These are the men that I break bread with. And so, you know, so many people have a misconception about Black men, and that, you know, we just baby makers, we great for sex, we don't want to work, we lazy, trifling. You know, we've heard the stories time and time again, but I'm here to tell you there are Black men who really do want to make a difference in this world, but we've been shunned, we've been neglected, we've not been given the proper resources to really do what we are destined to do. I said that this gift I have is from God. I didn't go to school for this. This is something that I feel God has put on me as a gift. And no matter what, I've got to continue my journey of informing people and giving people the right information ever. Now, gentlemen, I will go back to Saturday and Sunday night. You all are all Chicagoans. You know Chicago very well. Mr. Dwayne Bryan is bi-coastal. Kevin Ross is known to be in Paris for a couple of days. Early, I know you travel as well. Darnell, I get it. I get it. But we're going to talk about the city of Chicago and the chaos and pandemonium that broke out Saturday, Sunday, and even Monday. As Black men, what was your first response to everything that took place? The looting, the stealing, the all of that. Darnell, I'm gonna start with you, my friend. What was your first thought since you went out there and visualized a lot of this?
Yeah, I mean, my first thought was, when it was downtown, I was like, we'll never get that opportunity again. I thought we should have been more strategic. I was like, if we're going to hit downtown, we should have been strategic about hitting downtown. But that was my first thought. But on Sunday, when there was a lot of chaos in Black communities, right? Black people in Black communities, my first thought was to go and to just, be a presence, really. Be a presence, saying make sure that if there's a young man who is in need, if the cops do something that's outrageous. The only time that my heart started racing while I was out there was when the cops actually arrested a young man, and then they let him go. Actually, they didn't even keep him, but they arrested him, and it was just really chaotic and violent. And I was like, that's when I kind of jumped into action, right? But outside of that, my first thought on Saturday was like, we'll never get that chance again to go downtown. I wish we could have used that opportunity for something else, But Sunday, how can I be a support to these young brothers and make sure that I'm there just in case I'm needed?
Absolutely. Early, what was your thought? What was your, you are a secret angel to the city of Chicago, but I'm sure you were blown away to know some of your favorite shopping stores, some of your community places that you hang out frequent and support have all now been destroyed.
Well, first, let's backtrack. First thought of when the incident first happened, when I first heard about the incident, first thought came to mind, here we go again. It's tragic, but this is not the first time this has happened. I am, however, ecstatic that it has went as far as it has. Literally, I mean, I was just reading today, every state, all 50 states have protested. All 50 states have come together in some form or another, for justice. Because like I stated before, I stated earlier, our people are tired. We are frustrated, we are angry, we are mad. I stated earlier, the looting and all of that, I don't agree with it. But it has gotten the attention of the nation, and never before has anything shocked the nation like it has now. We're living in times, where I've never experienced anything like this. I'm 35 years old. Never in my 35 years of life have I ever experienced anything like this. I mean, to come from a pandemic, here it is, we're thinking, okay, we're finna finally get out of this pandemic, and then here comes this. So here it is, we're already frustrated, already locked down, already irritated, can't go out of town. Chad Daddy want to go travel. Chad Daddy can't go nowhere. And then
I can't.
Now this, so I would say, I was, angry, angry, frustrated. Never before have I felt, this type of anger, because the frustration is already built up. So I think that, the timing of this, even in itself of how it happened, when it happened, I think all played a role in the response we got as well. Because, let's be real. We've all been sitting around, we got this coronavirus, everybody looking at everybody funny. We're already frustrated, irritated. Here it is, you don't want to touch nobody, you don't want to talk to nobody. Now here it is, you got some dumb cop that decides to show his hand to the world. So I think that it could not have happened at a better time. Because we already were on edge. Our people already were angry. If I were to answer how I felt, definitely angry, definitely disgusted. But, I do feel some type of relief, because I feel like that we have finally channeled through and got through to the nation and showed the nation the true color of our disparities, of the injustices that we deal with on a daily basis.
Okay, I like it. I do. I'm gonna move on to Kevin, and then we'll get Dwayne last. Again, here we are. This weekend was a bumpy ride, my friend Kevin. You and I both were talking about that. Now no grocery stores, no pharmacies, no things that you and I could just walk to the corner and go get. But yet, it spoke volume to the world. Where are you at with all of this?
Well, for me, and I'm going to echo a little bit of what Early said. Going back to when Mr. Floyd was murdered, I like him. I said, here we go again. But we haven't gotten great results. So I wasn't sure what to expect, but I was preparing myself for even more, once again, disappointment. Here in Chicago, we came off of the Jason Van Dyke. We were supposed to be happy that he was at least convicted, but then he gets, less than 3 years for murder. And so I wasn't really, I wasn't enthusiastic. Now, true story, I was with my sister, and I went to Jewel Osco down Roosevelt and Wabash, and we're driving, and she saw a Black Lives Matter sign, and I said, that's cute. That's nice. We, Black Lives Matter, and, that's great. I'm glad to see that there are protests. But then the noise got louder. And I don't know, maybe when you get this around your chin, you're less aware, or you get older and you don't really get, like, you're a little slower. I didn't get that all these horns were beeping, and all these car horns were going off. So we drove around the corner, and we came back, and we went into the parking lot of the Jewel Osco. And I noticed then that all these cars were lined up, and there were signs on all of the cars, and there were kids hanging out of the cars. And I didn't see anybody my age. I didn't see anybody that was 50 or 40. I saw kids that were 30 and 20 and in their teens. And Art, it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. I promise you that. I was overwhelmed with emotion. I was overwhelmed at these bright young minds and these young kids. And they were Black, they were Latino. I saw signs that said Latinos for African Americans. I saw one guy, an Asian guy, was on a bicycle, and it said Asians for African American rights. They stopped and they wanted to take a picture with me and said, "We got you." And I mean, I've seen a lot, but I didn't feel it the way I felt what happened. So, I'm taking, going Facebook Live, and I'm taking a little video, and I'm doing my thing, and I'm loving what's happening. And then we go home, and my sister drops me off, and I wake up. I take a nap. This is around 2 o'clock that we were down there. Get home around 4. I take a nap, and I wake up at 10, and it was completely different. It was a complete 180 from what I experienced. The beauty, the engagement, the solidarity was all gone. All I saw were people breaking the windows at Nike Town, at the Nike store. I saw chaos. I saw disorder. I saw pain. I saw anguish. And I was so disappointed. I don't know that I've ever been that disappointed in my life, because the swing from what I had experienced and been part of in the afternoon was so completely different. And I was devastated. And then, you know what I started thinking? I started thinking, Malcolm X died, and this is the best we can do. Martin Luther King was shot in the head. This is the best we can do. Ida B. Wells, the Black Panther Party, W.B. Du Bois, all of these people who have come before us, who taught us about self-respect and protesting properly and standing up for yourself and having dignity and having strength and, yes, fighting, no question. Fred Hampton, all of these people who were murdered to teach us how to do this the right way. And here we were failing. And I was devastated, man. I remember waking up Sunday, and I just jumped up almost in bed like a shock. And my stomach was hurting and my chest was hurting. And I was so devastated by that. And it's taken me until today to get a real balance. It's taken me until today to really watch the news, watch what's happening around the world. I'm sad for my fellow business people. Trez Pugh, owner of Sip and Savor, thank God none of his coffee shops were damaged. But what's happening in our Black communities, that's not the plan. Every time we burn up something in our communities, we set our community back years. Every time we commit destruction in our own communities, we set ourselves back for a temporary moment of emotion. And that's not what we were taught by our forefathers, by our ancestors, by the people, who sacrificed for us. That's not what we were taught. So I'm hoping we can achieve some balance. I'm really hoping that we can get the type of balance that allows us to protest and to show strength and to show solidarity. But let's not ruin our neighborhoods, because I had somebody tell me up north, they didn't even know what was going on. Like they had even no idea that there were riots and none of that, because none of their neighborhoods were hit. And our neighborhoods now, where we have African American owners who decided that they wanted to plant stores in our neighborhoods, Mariano's, where the owner of Mariano's hired a Black artist to put artwork along the fence in Bronzeville so that Bronzeville could have an anchor store. Nike supported Colin Kaepernick when nobody else would. So, breaking in windows and stealing Nikes and doing all of that, we're not doing ourselves anything but harm. And so I'm hoping we can get a balance.
I tell people, Kevin, I live exactly 1 block from where all the chaos and pandemonium was going on the South Side. And the one thing I will say, the young people may have parked by my house. They may have gotten together, but they did not bother the businesses directly by my house. They went and did what they had to do elsewhere. But then I'm now in a situation where I wanted to walk and go get a loaf of bread. I cannot. The drugstore in my area is gone. Anything that I could have conveniently walked to is no longer there. But what I thought about today is like, listen, I moved into what is considered their area. Now that you've torn up everything, they'll probably be moving out of the area. and then I'll just sit there and wait until the regentrification comes along. This to me is in the master plan. At this particular point, the Obama Library would have to come to the south side of Chicago,
right,
because that will be the catalyst of a new Chicago. And so now I feel like a very fortunate property owner. You get what I'm saying? At first, I was like, damn, stuck with all this, you know, but now I feel like, woohoo, because guess what? It's going to change. And so fingers crossed that Obama Library will come. Now that everything's tore up and gone, you know, those that tore up the neighborhood, you're going to have to leave. And they probably have now the resources to be able to leave the neighborhood. So it just, you know, it's heart-wrenching, but then also I have to look at it like, guess what? Things are going to change as well, too.
Right.
Dwayne, I'm going to come to you and get your thought on if I rule the world, Dwayne. If I gave you that microphone, what would you want them to know?
Man, shoot, man, you be jumping, man. I thought we were going to the
right. I want to know. I'm gonna move on to the next subject. I'm coming back to you.
Okay, if I rule the world, what would I want the world to know? I would want the world to know that, hey, baby, I'm back. This ain't nothing new. I ruled the world thousands of years ago. I know what to do. I know whether it's Nancy Musa or whether it's, you know, Ramesses or Akhenaten. It's in my DNA to rule the world. So just bow that tail down. Understand the black man is back. Everyone, white supremacists, dig your own grave, or we're going to dig it for you, because either way, we can't coexist according to you. And just know that the world's going to be a better place because I rule the world. I'm ruling it with the peace and the love and the strength of Almighty God. You don't have to fear. You don't have to worry. We're going to come together. We're going to unify. We're going to love each other. We're not going to discriminate. We're going to just be peaceful because I rule the world, and I want to rule the world like God is ruling the kingdom of heaven so that it mirrors each other. So if I rule the world, it's going to be a beautiful place. But I would need my queen to rule with me because I don't have enough skills to rule this thing myself.
Okay. All right. I believe all of that. All right. Now, gentlemen, in the beginning of this conversation, I never did give your formal introductions, your formal bios. I just said, listen, these my guys. I love these men. They are all about positivity. They know what it means to be a good guy. And you know, a lot of what I'm seeing on social media right now is that a lot of people want to go out and clean up the neighborhood, but they standing there with a 3-piece suit on. They standing there with a camera crew. That's not about helping the world. Early, I want to talk about some of the amazing things that you have been doing in our community to help people long before this global pandemic and long before the night Chicago died. Early, let's let people know who you are and the things that you've done and how you actually don't want any glory out of this. You just want to actually help people to survive and live.
So, thank you. I mean, I'm a giver. I love to give. I love to see my people succeed. I consider myself a serial entrepreneur. And I, want to see my community succeed, my brothers and my sisters succeed. I do a lot of philanthropy work throughout the community as it relates to my communities. We do Christmas giveaways every year for kids that have lost their parents to gun violence. We take them shopping. We do a turkey drive every year as well. Usually around this time, we're actually usually getting ready for our prom giveaway. To see my brothers and my sisters succeed. I do a lot of philanthropy work throughout the community.
Somebody got some looping going on.
Every year, kids that have lost their parents to gun violence, take them shopping. No, it's not me. Do a turkey drive every year as well. Usually around this time, we're actually usually getting ready for our prom giveaway. To see my brothers and my sisters succeed. I do a lot of philanthropy work throughout the community.
I wonder where that came from. Okay, continue on, Early.
Alrighty. Well, at least I got a chance to see how I sound. So, so mic check. But no, so you know, as I was saying, I mean, I do various different things throughout the community. Whenever I see a need, I try to step in, make myself accessible. You know, we've had this past New Year's, which is kind of, I think, how me and you kind of came entwined. Had a young lady that had lost their parents to gun violence. You guys probably heard of the two Inglewood moms that had got killed. So I took those kids shopping on a Christmas shopping. No, I'm sorry. I went shopping for them, surprised them with the gifts, only to find out that one of the families had been homeless. They've been pretty much bouncing around from house to house. So myself, along with my manager who was on here, Pam, and Spencer Lee from AR Leaks, we all teamed up together, and we pretty much got this young lady a house, all expenses paid for a year, and also gave her a vehicle as well. So, you know, we do things like that, you know, just pretty much to show our support to the community. If someone's in need, I try to step in. Deemed, the name that has been given to me, Chicago Secret Angel. So basically, you know, absolutely, we are, on the forefront for our people, and just, you know, I'm here to serve, which is the purpose that I feel like everyone has been put on this earth for.
Very good. I love it. I really do. And again, like I say, I never did give you guys the credentials of these gentlemen because these are my friends. I don't think any more of them other than great guys. They do outstanding work to love and support people of the community. People are giving so much great feedback. They were saying how Spencer Leak is such a great man, and he really is. We appreciate him, both senior and junior. Dwayne Bryant, you really do rule the world. That's what people are saying. People are very excited about this conversation tonight because this is a conversation that really needs to be had. Darnell, I'm going to come to you. Are you currently working on your 5th master's degree, or is it your 5th doctorate degree?
No. Well,
what is it, young buck? Help us understand. Tell us who you are and what you do. Tell us about Black Boy Shine.
Absolutely. Can you hear me now?
We can, yes.
Absolutely. Great. So Black Boy Shine, first I'll say this. I am a rising sixth year doctoral candidate. So it's not that I have 6 PhDs. This is my 6th year in my PhD program, and I got my master's back in 2012, and I got my undergrad a year before that. But Black Boys Shine is a campaign to illuminate the character and contributions of Black boys and men nationally and internationally. We do this by posting positive, uplifting, and affirming images of Black boys and men on multiple social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, YouTube. We also partner with schools and districts in order to create online educational spaces where kids can post up their own positive experiences. And then we have original content. I've actually written a book I need to get published. So I have a book about identity formation. I also have 2 children's books that I put together that I need to get illustrated. But the ideal is to give children the proper supports that are going to allow them to make adaptive decisions that eventually lead to, productive and positive identity formation. Right. And the old cliche is, how can you be what you don't see? So, for instance, one of the videos that we did for Black Boy Shine, Big Brother Dwayne Bryan is in that video. And those young people who are exposed to his name, what he does, and then also hears him say Black Boy Shine, I think that does something to open up opportunity for young people. When you hear things that you haven't heard before, you see yourself in a position that maybe you didn't see yourself in before, and that potential opportunity or that potential reality is something that you can actually grasp. So yeah, Black Boy Shine is out here. We're doing work every single day to improve the outcomes of young people all over the world. We've had contributions from London, West Africa, and all over the United States as far as video contributions. Isaiah Thomas did one recently. He's a Hall of Famer, former NBA champion. So yeah.
Nice. Very good. All right. And that's what I'm talking about. Now, I'm going to come to you, Brother Kevin Ross. You've been in the music industry for a number of years. And the one thing I'm going to say about the music industry, Kevin, it can be a blessing or a curse. A lot of our music that we listen listening to, or our young people are listening to now, can be a bit negative and downtrodden. And I know you've worked with artists that sing about love and happiness and upliftment, but let everybody know your background and how you are continuing to bring a positive message with all the artists that you work through.
So my background is 30 years in the music industry, marketing, promotion, and brand management. I've worked with people like Eric Benet, Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube, Katy Perry, Tamia, Avant, just to name a few. It started out for me as a hobby when I was 15 years old, and I was reading my father's. I was listening to my father's albums, the Isley Brothers, Marvin Gaye, and then I started reading the backs of the album covers and really educating myself as to what it took to create that music, more so than enjoying it, not just enjoying it, but what it took to create that music. And there's a machine behind it. So I decided I wanted to be in the business. And that has brought me to where I am now. I started my own independent company, now the Two Guard Group. Originally, it was called Two Guard Media. And of course, everyone's wondering, Two Guard, where did that come from? Well, it was a position I played in basketball, the two guard. I was actually, when I decided to start my company, I had a meeting the next day and I still didn't have a name for my company. So that's the best I could come up with at 2 a.m. And I've stuck with it for 11 years. I didn't want to change the logo, so here we are. So for me, I'm very committed. As I said before, I'm from California. I moved to Chicago in 1996. After the first winter, I said I will not be here more than 3 years, and here I am, 24 years later, and this is my adopted home. I believe Chicago is so incredibly talented that I decided, with all the experience that I have and all the artists that I've worked with, I want to use that to curate the talent that's here. I felt that Chicago has never truly gotten the credit for the amazing artists that have come from here. Everyone from Curtis Mayfield to Maurice White from Earth, Wind and Fire, to Buddy Guy, to Chaka Khan. And I think that most people would, if you ask the average person, they wouldn't know that those people are from Chicago. And they don't know the roots of a lot of gospel music is from Chicago. So my mission is to bring that to the forefront with some of the newer artists that are here. We have some great talent. I have a film and television partnership with a guy named Daryl Pitts. Daryl Pitts is a 20-year veteran, 20 years at BET. He's an Emmy Award-winning documentary maker who won an Emmy for a documentary called Real Black Love, REEL, which highlighted the depiction of Black love in films over the course of history. Our goal is to bring to light some of the musical stories that exist here in Chicago, and put them in film or documentary form. We did a movie last year starring Leon from the Five Heartbeats about a Chicago blues musician and guitar player named Eddie Taylor. And we highlighted a couple of years in the life of Eddie Taylor. And we're finishing that up currently, and then we'll be looking to shop that and put it out. I'm also proud to announce that very soon here I will have my own streaming channel on a streaming platform, an independent streaming platform that's based here. It's actually based in Hammond, in Indiana. But on that, I'll be curating exclusive content. But there's always going to be a focus on Chicago and Chicago artists, and building what I believe can be another Motown here in Chicago. I'm also proud to say that we are now a full service marketing company and branding agency. I have 2 authors that I'm working with. They're both African American female authors. One, her name is Donisha White. She's a mother of 4, and she we just published and uploaded her first book. And she's working on her second book, which is a children's book of poetry. She's a poet. And I'm very proud of that because I believe that we have some great, great authors and poets here. They simply don't know, once they upload to Amazon, how to market their book. My other client, her name is Audrey Todd. She is a minister. She is a product of Chicago's child welfare system. She was adopted. Both parents were on drugs. She lived in the streets, was almost homeless, and was involved in a car accident that almost took her life. Everybody in the car was injured except for her. After that, she decided that God was the way to go, and she is dynamic. She's incredible. So she wrote a book for millennials.
She's coming to meet me on the show soon, right? We talked
She's
about
coming
that.
on as soon as you can get her on.
Yeah.
As soon as you can get her
Okay.
on. Yeah, she's
Beautiful.
amazing. So, I'm working with a couple of authors. Her story, her book was #1 on Amazon the week of release last year. And it is a 31-day devotional for millennials and teaching them how to find their place in God's kingdom and letting them know that it's okay if you're a millennial to believe in God. So I'm very proud of those two as well. And I'm also working on a partnership now. I just had my first call today with an urban Jewish organization here in Chicago that works on things like police reform and some of the neighborhood improvements. So that's what my company does. And I'm proud to be in Chicago. I love it here.
Well, very good. When I came up with the idea of doing this male panel and discussion, the first person I called was my brother, Mr. Dwayne Bryant. He said, Chat Daddy, I want to be the sponsor of this discussion. Let me have my people create the flyer. Dwayne, I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart because you've been so good to me from day one. But actually let people know, Dwayne, who you are and what you do and why you continue to want to help our young people out here.
Sure. So after a 7-year corporate career with Johnson & Johnson, I asked God, what is my purpose in life? And he said, I want you in the schools. And so I resigned at 27 years old, making about 105 grand. Came to Chicago actually in 1995 too. So Kevin, I was right ahead of you. And,
yeah, you were.
And I just started piloting the program. My first program was at Corliss High School in 99. We had an increase, a 10-year high graduation rate, 10-year low dropout rate, 8-year high math score increase, 8-year high TAP score increase. And so the board, I convinced them that, hey, give me a bigger budget and I can get these results at any school you put us in. And then so basically they started continuously increasing the amount of schools that we had. And then we started expanding to the south suburb. Now we have expanded to Florida as well. So the trajectory, we work with over 30,000 students. I believe that if you can impact a child's self-esteem, teaching them goal setting, time management, conflict resolution, study skills, the power of words, hope, if you can impact their self-esteem, it will make them want to do better academically instead of just teaching kids how to take a test. And once you do that, then you engage with the parents. You also teach, building a winning team workshops, managing stress workshop, power parent workshops, so parents can understand how to see the gifts into their children instead of always verbally putting them down and just beating the hell out of them. And then after that, in 2015, I wrote the book The Stop because I saw that our children, Kevin, sounds like a partnership opportunity, my brother. We were talking. Wrote The Stop, and it has been a great success in different libraries in different states and different school systems across the country. I want our people to win, man. I'm not a loser. I've never been a loser. I don't mind working hard. I don't mind doing what it takes, staying up late, but I'm tired of our people losing. So I left the corporate world where I probably would have been making more money, but actually there's a point that I way past what I was making in the corporate world. And just decided that I'm going to put myself, my skin, blood in the game for my people. And this is, I know what God has called me to do. So now we just pivoted a third time. Now we just developed e-learning with DB. If you go to DwayneBryant.com, DwayneBryant.com, and look under the e-learning platform, we now have e-learning video content that we produce right here in my home. We created 3 studios in here, and we were able to produce content. We have a pilot of 21 schools in a school district in Florida that we're going to be piloting it in. And so, I just thank God for the gifts that he's given me, for the ability to create no matter what the circumstance or what the climate is, to be able to succeed and to be able to win. So that's what I do. My focus has been the young people, and then evolve to their parents. But any level of engagement in that area is what I am proud to have done for 23 and a half, almost 24 years.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I
Wow,
told
that's
you I'm not
awesome.
introducing
Thank
you.
you.
I'm not introducing you to just average, everyday, run-of-the-mill guys. I'm introducing you to guys who are making a tremendous impact on the world in which we live in, guys who are dedicated, committed. I always believe in letting my guests talk first, letting people get to know who they are, and then at the end, telling people really who these men are. Gentlemen, we are almost done with our show tonight. It is 8:39. We go to 9 o'clock. One of the things that I want to find out from you, gentlemen, is what are some of the biggest misconceptions that people think about Black men? What are some of the biggest misconceptions that people think about Black men? Is there anybody that wants to go first on that one? What is the biggest misconceptions? Yes, sir, Mr. Dwayne Bryant. And then, oh boy, everybody got their hand up.
No.
I'll come to you,
Brother Donnell. Brother Donnell can go. I saw his hand up.
You go first, Dwayne. What's the biggest misconception?
Sure. I would say the biggest misconception is we don't care. I think we care a whole lot more than what we care to. I think the biggest misconception is that we're not lovable. You said something so powerful. I had to write it down, man. It was something about nurturing. You said the Black man is used to being used, is good enough to be used, but not good enough to be nurtured. And I think the biggest misconception is we need nurturing in a major way, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, socially. But I think the biggest misconception is that we don't care. And I think we do care. I think we are kind. I think we are loving.
I love it. I do. Darnell, where are you at with that? And then Early, I'm going to come to you. And then Kevin, I'm going to come to you.
Yeah, I echo that sentiment. One of the things that we know now empirically, right, as a scholar and researcher, what we know empirically now is that Black men are the most involved parents of all racial ethnic groups, right? Black men are the most involved male parent of all racial ethnic groups. We are more involved than anybody else in the daily raising and rearing of our children. We're more involved in their education. We're more involved in this. We're more involved in that. But people don't think about that. Now, yes, we have high rates of births out of wedlock, but Black men are statistically the most involved parent in the lives of their child across any ethnic group. And I'm just so very grateful to be a part of that number and to be able to spit that fact, with real confidence and speak about it from an empirical perspective as well. Yeah.
Okay, very good. All right. Early, misconceptions about the Black man.
That we're lazy. I think that it's been said that Black men are lazy. Black men don't want to work. Black men don't, don't try. When in reality, if given opportunity, we not only exceed, we go above and beyond. So I think Black men are the hardest working men, in the world, in my opinion, since the beginning of time. But it's just a matter of us getting the right opportunities and being put in those positions to be able to show and demonstrate, that we do want to work. We do want to, be included in, the higher, rating jobs as well as, lower rating jobs, So if I would say, that, Black men are definitely thought to be lazy, when in reality, we are hard workers. We just, we need the opportunity.
I love it. I really, really do. You're right about that. The opportunity is what's so needed and what's so important. Kevin Ross, what's them conceptions, brother? What's them conceptions that people have, perceptions they have about us?
Well, I think probably the main one that I've run across a lot, and one of the reasons that I think, the whole basis for this show, which has been the harassment by police, is that somehow we're all criminals or we're involved in some type of illegal activity, and that we don't respect the law. So they're justified, I think, in they'll take the gamble and pull us over, or take the gamble and stop us while we're walking, because if they roll the dice, they're going to find that somehow we've done something wrong. I think that's a real misconception. And then, as I said before, my mother's a therapist. There was a study that was done that found that a lot of people think that the black man is angry, and very aggressive. And I think those two probably are the most damaging, because they don't allow for people to get to know you before there's already this preconception. And it doesn't help someone like myself who's 6'2", 275 pounds, and considered, I guess, I don't consider it, but considered a little bit imposing. That it doesn't help when you have those preconceptions, because then people are quick to judge even more. And so I think those are a couple of the things that just, and to be honest, I think those narratives have been built in order to be able to try to control us, because during the times of slavery, we were seen as the biggest threat. Was the black man, the African American male, was seen as the biggest threat to the white slavers, and to the establishment, to that culture. So their job was to take us down a peg right away. So they created this narrative. So I think that's part of the problem. And those two things right there, that's a big part of the problem.
I agree. I could not agree with you more. I just think of my own personal stories. I think the years in which I was a flight attendant probably was the easiest, but I could even remember when people would say, "Oh yeah, the big black guy is my flight attendant," or better yet, where the black dude at? Or I remember a time I was working a flight from Chicago to Las Vegas, and a fight broke out on the flight. And all of the female white flight attendants came to the back of the plane and was like, "We need you." And I'm thinking, "You need me? What do you need me for?" And they was like, "Oh, it's some people fighting." And I'm thinking, "Honey, I'm not the bouncer. I'm not the bouncer. I'm a flight attendant just like you. And no, I don't, I'm not here to break up a fight." But I think that, we as black men, people always want to think that we are the protector and fixer, and until something goes wrong, and if their purse is missing, they turn and look at us.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know. We got a lot of work to do, gentlemen. We do. We have a lot of work to do. Anybody else want to make any comments? Go, Kevin. Go ahead.
Well, what I will, that was me. What I will say is, I think we're getting to a point, finally. I believe that the coronavirus and that particular crisis kind of, in a sense, weakened the United States, and put us in a position where it took away a lot of distractions. If you notice, some of the first things to go were sporting events, were things that we've become a very self-indulgent society, and we've been entertaining ourselves so long that we've forgotten that there's so much work to be done at the basic core of who we are as people, as a nation, as a planet. And so when we are forced to be, I think we're going on 80 days of quarantine or whatever it is. I've lost track of time, but you have no choice but to really stop and think, and you have no choice but to really stop and evaluate. And where I think we are now, I know where I am personally as an African American man. I've done a lot more studying. I started to understand now, and understand the structure of this country. I started reading more about the stock exchange, more about the supply chain, more about the economics, and how this country is built on economics, and how that affects and disaffects poorer peoples, black and brown. I've just, I watch documentaries and things like that. So I think I'm going to come out of this much better. I think I'm going to come out of this much brighter, and with much more of an understanding on what I can do, to contribute to our society and to my people, and to be a leader. I think leadership is absolutely vital. I think the brothers that I'm on with here now would agree that mentorship is vital. It's vital for our younger black men. You'd be surprised if you took the opportunity just to talk to a young black man. They just want to be heard, and they just want to be respected, and they don't want to be treated like children. They want to be treated like people. And if you just take the time to talk, to nurture, as it was a word I heard earlier, I think we're going to have a better time. Every millennial is not, an airhead. Every millennial is not someone who doesn't get doesn't have a clue and doesn't get it. That's not true at all. I saw some. I live over here in Bronzeville, and right on the corner of 55th and King Drive, some wonderful young men and women were giving away food. We're doing a food giveaway, and they were engaging, and they were fun, and they were funny. I just think it's vital that we start to relate more with the generation that is going to be coming up behind us, and let's not write them off, because they are going to be the ones to be affecting the change. And like I said before, that Saturday, before everything flipped around, those were some great young people that were out there. And if there's anything that I can do, I want to be involved more with mentorship and helping these young people grow, and helping them become better. And through that, I'll become better.
I love it. I really, really do. Gentlemen, you guys have done an outstanding job. We're almost at the end of our show. I'm going to let you give your closing thoughts, but I also want you to give your social media handles so everybody is able to follow you. But this has been an amazing show tonight. I want people to share it, watch this. Let me let everybody know that the encore performance of tonight's show can be found on YouTube at The Real Chat Daddy Show. Again, that's The Real Chat Daddy Show, as well as you can go to the Facebook page, The Real Chat Daddy Show. Please share this, start a watch party. Encourage people to listen to what we've had to say tonight, because you have some dynamic gentlemen here that just want to share love, happiness, and good energy in the name of Black men. We want to be nurtured, but we also want to nurture and love on our people. And this tonight has just been incredible. Let me tell you guys about what's going to happen tomorrow. As you guys all know, on Instagram at 12 noon every day, I am doing what's called Soul Food, What Feeds Your Soul. June is actually National Soul Food Month. And so every day I sit down to talk to people over a virtual lunch about who they are, what makes them the person they are, and what really feeds their soul. And so tomorrow I have the honor and pleasure of talking to PR maven, Miss Winona Redmond of Win-Win Communications. Winona has been in public relations for many years. She's a pioneer in the business, and we're going to talk about the public relations angle of everything that is going on currently right now. As I said today, artist Malik Youssef was my guest. Gospel artist Bobby Lewis was on Tuesday with me, and then legendary radio personality Bonnie Deshawn was Monday's guest. And then coming up on tomorrow night's show, our shows have been so heavy every night. I'm going to make it Relationship Thursday. Our good friend, relationship expert Eaton Adele is back tomorrow night as my special co-host. But then we also welcome Arthur Leon R. Walker tomorrow night, and he's going to talk about the man code of why women love bad boys. He's a self-proclaimed bad boy, and so tomorrow night he's going to talk about why women are so in love with bad boys. And so that should be a fun show tomorrow night, just to break the monotony.
Are you streaming that? Where are you streaming that?
Tomorrow night. We are going to stream that tomorrow night. Shows are always streamed. I need for you guys to do me a huge favor as my audience. Please go to YouTube, subscribe to The Real Chat Daddy Show. Please go to The Real Chat Daddy Show page, like that page. I need people to start following, supporting. I'm putting out here God's work every night. I'm putting out powerful work, and I need to build my followers. Gentlemen, what I want to do now is allow each one of you all to, what's that, Dwayne?
It says,
you follow.
No, Neil, I'm getting ready to like your page, but I went to YouTube. Nigerian protesters stormed the U.S. embassy over the killing of George Floyd.
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yes. Oh, yeah. This is not over. We've
Yeah,
not
This is
seen the
biblical.
worst yet.
it
We've
is.
not seen the worst
Wow.
yet. We have
For
not.
100
No,
years
we have
and
not. Yes. Darnell, do me a favor. Tell everybody how they can find you, follow you, and your closing thought for tonight. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. On multiple social media platforms, you can find me at The Real Darnell Leatherwood, The Real Darnell Leatherwood, Instagram, Facebook in particular. On the Facebook, you can find me under Darnell Leatherwood. And then for Black Boy Shine, which I think is more paramount here, Black Boy Shine incorporated on Instagram, and then just Black Boy Shine on Facebook, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So you can find me there. My closing thought is this. First, I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged by this conversation. I'm encouraged by all the knowledge that I received in this discourse. And I'm just really excited about the opportunity to continue to provide and leverage resources on behalf of the people. I even just, just to be transparent, in the chat, I reached out to, Kevin Ross because I'm like, hey, look, I said I have a book. I need, help with that. And I reached out to a brother who's right on the chat right now who can help with that. And I'm going to reach out to Dwayne Bryan as well to see if he can mentor me around getting my book into schools so that it can be positioned to help children. So I'm just really excited about not only the discourse, I'm also excited about the conversations, right, which was brought up earlier, having conversations, getting to know each other, and then working collaboratively to continue to improve outcomes for young people all over the world. It's not over, but like I said recently in a Facebook post, we will have justice and we will have peace. Yeah, it's going to work out.
I love it. I really do. God bless you, my friend. I really do appreciate you. Early Walker, do the same thing. How can we follow you on social media and your closing thoughts?
So on social media, I stated earlier, I am a serial entrepreneur, so I do have several businesses. On Instagram, you can find me at Chicago's_secret angel. Chicago's_secret_angel. Also, I own a towing company, tow truck company. So you can follow me on Instagram as well at www.towing. Facebook, you can look up my name. It's actually on Facebook. It's Earl Walker, as well as www.towing on Facebook and Chicago Secret Angel as well. Or you can visit my webpage, www.chicagosecretangel.com, to learn more about the things that we're doing in the community. And I also want to throw in a quick commercial because we're going to be doing a first ever, what we're calling I Have a March this coming Sunday. It's going to be from 12 to 2. It's a peaceful march. I'm calling all my men that have sons, all my women that have sons, to come out, meet us on 111th and Western, and we're going to re-angle the focus back on the black boy, the black son, as far as it relates to the community. I think that with the looting and all of that stuff, we've kind of got away from the actual real meaning of what's really going on here. And I don't just want to focus on that, but I want to focus on the fact that we are still killing each other as well. So we're going to be at 111th and Western. We're going to be meeting there, and we're going to be marching from 111th and Western to Mount Hope Cemetery. I have some funeral homes that have gotten involved with this. They're going to be bringing hearses out. I'm going to have actual empty children's casket. The kids are actually going to be marching from 111th to the cemetery, and it's just going to show the realness of, hey, look, if we don't end this cycle, this is where you're going to be.
Wow. That's awesome.
Wow. Say hey to my mama. She out there. I got to go visit my mama. She out in Mount Hope Cemetery. Early, I really appreciate you for everything that you do. Kevin Ross, how can we reach you, find you, and give us that closing thought?
The first thing I want to do is thank my fellow panelists here, and it's a real honor. I'm inspired and honored to even be amongst these brothers. I don't feel worthy, but it's been an honor. And Chad Daddy, for our friendship, I'm always big on the people who have mentored me or assisted me in any way, shape, or form as I grow into God's purpose and becoming the man that I'm supposed to become, which I work on every day. I am not who I am without yourself. And the people who have come and shown an interest in me. and giving me opportunities and help support me. You can find me personally on Twitter and on Instagram at KRoss Chicago, KROSS Chicago. That works for both Twitter and IG. For the company, you can find me at Twoguard, TWOGUARD Media, MEDIA. That works again for both Twitter and Instagram. Please follow me. And then on Facebook, Kevin E. Ross and the Twoguard Group on Facebook. And again, THETWOGUARD Group. I think the biggest thing that I said I'm going to be working on is a streaming channel and highlighting some of Chicago's stories, continuing to develop Chicago talent and artists, giving them the opportunities that they would get if they were at a major record label or with major backing, and continuing to teach and grow them. And then again, I really want to develop authors, especially African-American authors. I think there are an average of 30 to 40 books that come out per week. And the important thing about marketing is the number one rule is separation. So you have to be able to separate your brand and find who your audience is, curate that audience, and then continue to build it. So that's what I want to also develop.
All right. Well, I will also, last but not least, is our amazing sponsor tonight. Dwayne Bryant came on first. It was like, yes, brother, let me create your flyer. Let's get this going. This is an important dialogue. Dwayne, give us how we can find you, follow you, your closing thought, and then we'll close out tonight's show.
Uh-oh.
Unmute your mic. Wait, hold on. That's all right. Go ahead. Oh, wait. I done muted it now. Hold on. Okay. Unmute that mic.
Can you hear me now?
Good. Go right ahead.
Okay, cool. They can reach me at DwayneBryant.com, DwayneBryant.com. Also, they can find out more about my book for their families at aboutthestop.com, ABOUTTHESTOP.com. Facebook is Dwayne Bryant, DWAYNEBRYANT. Instagram is I am Dwayne Bryant. I don't do anything on Twitter and too old for Snapchat, TikTok. Those are the only ways right now. I do have a YouTube channel, but I don't do anything with it. But I really need to start. So those are the ways they can reach me.
All right. Well, gentlemen, it has been truly an honor, truly a pleasure. I thank God for each and every one of you all tonight. You have just gone above and beyond to get this message out, to let people know that Black men are valuable, that we are loving, that we are here to help our fellow mankind and do all the right things. And I'm just honored to know each and every one of you guys. Are we froze? I bet you that's what you guys. Okay. We are going to win. Yes, we are, gentlemen. That's what we are all about, winning. On behalf of all of my guests tonight, I want to say thank you so much to Mr. Early Walker. Really, Early, you do an outstanding job of everything that you do, and I appreciate you. Continued success. I want to say thank you so much to Mr. Darnell Leatherwood, a great guy as well, too. I just appreciate him to no end. People are saying that this truly was a masterclass this evening, gentlemen, and I really do believe that. I believe this is my calling to continue to get us out there and get the message and word out. Thank you, Mr. Kevin Ross. I appreciate you for all that I do. And thank you for Mr. Dwayne Bryant for being that businessman that said, yep, brother, I got you. Let's get this out here. Let me do the flyer. Do you need anything? Yes, sir. I know, Early. What? Yes, sir.
One more important thing that I'm forgetting.
Yes.
So I actually own a funeral home as well. It's probably a Walker Funeral Home. And I want to dispel this because of what's going on as it relates to COVID-19. So anyone that has passed or lost a family member due to COVID-19, I am able to get their funeral service for free. So reach out to me, spread the word. If you have a family member or know someone that has passed from COVID recently or currently, I am able to get their funeral services covered for free. So I wanted to make sure
Oh,
I threw
wow.
that.
That's big.
So,
That's big.
Wow, Earl, that's a whole nother conversation we gonna have
I
to
know,
talk
man.
about.
He was gonna
That
get off. He
is
was gonna get off. He was gonna get off the line, and that's the home run right there.
right. Look. Right. We don't want nobody to get COVID or die from COVID, but
Right. We don't want them to have to use that, but to know that it's available.
Right.
That's big. I can put that out there for sure, man.
Look, that's almost like an American Express Black Card at this point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you ain't
Lord
lying, man.
mercy. Right.
Yes.
Right. People are like, well, now, you know, Earl said take care of your COVID death, but we don't want any of that to happen. We do not. Early, we definitely will have to talk about just the whole funeral business with you, with this being the problem that we've seen and, you know, a lot of the things that have been going on. And I really do appreciate you guys. I do. On behalf of all of my guests this evening, gentlemen, thank you. God bless you. I don't even know why the screen freezing up. We probably have talked too much tonight, and they probably trying to put us off of here. Thank you guys for being a part of tonight's show. Really, I love you guys so very much. God bless you. On behalf of all of my guests tonight, I am Art Chat Daddy Sims. This has been a very special town hall discussion tonight about the state of Black men in our society. Please go to my website, therealchatdaddy.com, for more information about me. Tomorrow, 12 noon on Instagram at ChatDaddy1. I'll talk to Winona Redmond. Tomorrow night, Relationship Thursday on this show, Eaton Adele will be our very special guest co-host. Author Leon R. Walker will be joining us. 2 hours tonight, you guys. We did it. We did it. But this was all about the state of Black men in America. On behalf of my guests, I love you guys so very much. Stay safe. God bless you. Thank you guys. And one. Good night.
Thank you. Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
Good night, brother.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Oh, my pleasure. Anytime. Thank you.